Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to Let's Play Demon Souls. I got me a whole spell and a catalyst to cast it with. That's just a basic spell from Freak's Disciple. We didn't turn in any of the boss souls yet, and today we're starting a new world, Stonefang Tunnels, a city of miners who maintain the giant tunnel. Long ago, the efforts of the hard-headed burrowers allowed Boletarian soldiers to carry out their work, but now, dispossessed of their souls, they have no thoughts of their own and work in silence tirelessly without purpose. So we're seeing that more and more, Boletaria has influence far beyond the boundaries of their own kingdom. Is anything written on this? No, I thought it might have been something. Souls community member Illusory Wall found out years ago that the book that False Idol, the boss we fought at the end of the last episode, reads from is the Book of Kells, which is a Christian gospel text. And as soon as we come up the stairs, we have one of our crystal lizard buddies. Have I talked about the specifics of the lizards yet? I haven't, have I? So you've already seen that they run away when they sense you, but if one... Oh! That is a treat of a vista. Hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Hello there. Souls. I trade fine goods for souls. Our little town. It's a nice wee place. All those lizard-eyed townsfolk are busy tinkering with stone and don't bother with old folk like me. Makes life rather easy for me. I can get away with anything. I always knew there was a god. Thanks for looking out for me. Oh, have you heard about sparkling lizards? Not easy to catch, but they've got some fine stones. And I know where one of their nests is. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't give it away. I always knew there was a god.
The Filthy Man sells, among other things, some basic upgrade materials in unlimited quantities, so that tends to be pretty handy. Also, if you listen...
You've got to be. Don't you agree?
If you listen very carefully in the distance, in the background, you can hear that very rhythmic clanging. It's coming from down below, but we do not have access to the elevator yet. So, crystal lizards, when they run away, when they sense you, if they get enough distance, they'll try to burrow into the ground and disappear. Gonna try to grab... Oh, sticky white slime. Great. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. They'll try to disappear on you. And they have some really funky rules that they follow. But real quick, how do I never ever notice this? This lever is for this elevator out here. This switch is so ridiculously easy to miss. I played through the original multiple times before I ever realized this existed. I consider it a secret hidden in plain sight, because it's so easy to run out and say, huh, how does this work? Oh, it must be a shortcut for later on, because we've already run into that situation once, and we're already at the start of the level. We just saw that behind the Filthy Man. And we have fat officials. Can we get a good drop? We're gonna want that entire set that the fat official is wearing. But we're gonna have to gather it in pieces. That's okay, there's more than one of those to farm. Remember what Rydell said? Those are the gluttons that he was alluding to. One of whom, in one of the levels, holds the key to Rydell's cell. And I'm going to get back to that so I can finish my point about the lizards real quick before we go any further. Plus, we have a nice lengthy elevator ride to take down. There is a reason to come back here much later on. But even right now, there's still at least something to get down here at the bottom. Yeah, so the lizards will try to burrow into the ground once they get clear of you. Once the coast is clear. And the rules to how they work are very particular. Each individual lizard has... Oh, another one of these great vistas. Has a limited amount of respawns, starting at 1. Killing a boss in that world increases the number of respawns of all lizards in that world by 1. So we're in World 2. We're in Stonefang Mines, which consists of 3 levels and 3 bosses. So if we kill all 3, every single lizard throughout World 2, throughout Stonefang Mines, will spawn a total of 4 times. That's 4 times that you can farm each lizard in a world. However, where this gets annoying is that it's not just killing them that uses up a spawn. If they drop off a cliff, or if they run away and escape, that counts too. Or rather, that's how it worked in the original. Bluepoint made a very nice quality of life adjustment, which removed that last part. So now the only thing that counts towards reducing a lizard's spawn count is actually killing the lizard and getting the materials off of it. Here, because we had the Thief's Ring, it took the dogs a really long time to jump out and trigger. Oh, there's that third one. Demon Souls dogs have a reputation for being a little bit erratic at times, especially if you're getting hit by them in a staggered fashion while all 3 are up. So here we're going to have another opportunity to get a piece of the Fat Official set. Hopefully we grab one. Ah, man. Just another full moon grass. That's fine, we can take advantage of that. We're going to go further into his room and loot these 2 items. Clear stone shard and sharpstone chunk. And a hardstone chunk too. Before we come out here and just make sure you're really paying attention to those angles, because this is a pincer. First you run in, you get hit in the back, then you might run further up the stairs. And you're really sandwiched. By the way, about the burrowers, you can tell which ones are going to be hostile to you and try to attack by what they're wielding. It's the pickaxe ones who tend to be hostile. And now we have our own pickaxe. Great. And then we're going to have another Fat Official up here lobbing fireballs at us once we try to get across this little plank bridge. And one of these parts falls away. I have to remember which side to run on. Okay, good. Now, can we get behind him? No. I don't want him falling off. That would be a little annoying. Ah, we're good. We are still going to have to go back down there to retrieve the items off his corpse, but that's fine. And you can see, actually, down there where this is going to deposit us. It's back in the room where we just fought the 3 dogs. We're just above that right now. There are still a few things that if we hug the wall, we will be able to get before we have to drop down and loop our way back up here. Just a sharpening stone. Oh, cool. Okay. Nice, we did get the official's gloves, and before that invader comes, we are going to open the gate so we can progress. So, our first invader. This is an element of the game that I've never really been super fond of, even though I love the idea on paper. I honestly mostly find them to be kind of a chore. You know, it's the process is someone invades your game and it's like, well, I guess I'll get back to the thing that I was enjoying later on. And this is partly because I just don't like that infinite healing is possible in PvP. And also just, if I wanted a PvP, I would go do that. The novelty of it does make it very fun at first. The first few invasions are really tense and surprising. Up until you get invaded, you probably didn't even know this could happen. Okay, what do we got? Is that Northern Regalia? Alright, so what are we doing? Okay, we're just gonna do this. I'm just gonna go for a parry then, and if I don't make it, then whatever. Because I'm not gonna have a 40-minute duel where we're just going back and forth. We're just going back and forth healing. Okay, I missed the parry, and my punishment is death. I have chosen death. So we're just gonna get on with it. The idea that a player can just at will, at random, jump into your game and murder you adds a lot of tension and danger. It's just that the novelty... Whoop! Oh. The novelty doesn't last. Invading is fun, though. Being invaded can be fun if that's what you're looking for, but I think it's just quite tedious. If you want to remedy that, though, you can just play offline. Alternatively, once you're in soul form, you can no longer be invaded. And I guess this also depends on how much you actually like the PvP, which I just don't. I never really got into it, so... My peak for enjoying Souls games PvP was like the old Iron Keep Bridge arenas in Dark Souls 2, which was a good time. And like the fight clubs outside of Pontiff Sylvain's room in Dark Souls 3, because that game actually has really good combat and a boatload of things to build a character around. And the online, by the time they got to Dark Souls 3, was a lot more refined. This does give us the nice opportunity to farm another fat official, though, and for me to get back on track with what I wanted to say about them and Boletaria, something I kind of alluded to in the beginning when we read the description of the Archstone for this world and for this level. Yep, we hit the archway. Damn it! I don't want to give him the chance, but he will not take the bait and come out. So the fat officials, for me, are where some points of lore start coming together in really interesting ways. And even better, it doesn't just build out the world, it builds out the narrative, too. We've been to every world now. Boletaria has a presence in all of them, even though it is not actually the geographical center point here. That would be the Nexus. Boletaria is its own place, its own kingdom, discreet, and made remote by the fog. The lands represented by each of the Archstones are supposed to be cut off from one another, but they're joined through the Nexus. That's why it is a Nexus. Fat ministers who appeared just before demons ran rampant in Boletaria and ingratiated themselves with King Elant, oppressed the masses with sly grins. This uniform is said to have been resented by the masses as a hateful reminder of them. So, not good dudes. Boletaria is sending these cruel figures all across the land. Because these are not places that are adjacent to the nation of Boletaria. They are nations Boletaria is trying to conquer or colonize. The Imperial Spy and the Assassin in Latria, the whole of the Valley of Defilement, fat officials here now, and the enslavement of the burrowers. We're trying to be careful not to touch these lizards, because just making contact with them is enough to burn you. Plus, they like to leap at you and do a lot of damage. And this fits right in with our primary themes. Greed, consumption, the accumulation of power. Conquest fits right in with that. If the goal is to grow infinitely, to accumulate just for the sake of it, to grow more and more powerful, irrespective of any greater purpose that power might serve, Conquest fits right in with that. Just compulsive growth that goes hand in hand with Conquest. Because if you need to grow endlessly, you eventually have to incorporate more and more resources. And those have to come from somewhere, and they have to be extracted by someone. By the way, I highly recommend the book Less is More by Jason Hickel. It is, at times, pretty grim, but incredibly insightful, and it is not the last time that I'm going to be talking about it. And though it's grim towards the beginning, it does get pretty hopeful and practical. It's a climate change book that's just laser sharp and incredibly cutting. About causes, sources, and solutions, while touching on things ranging from, like, planned obsolescence of products, to the Enlightenment and dualist versus animist philosophies, the history of enclosure, ways in which the planet is essentially one big superorganism. It's so good. It's also where I learned that thing about the quasi-distributed consciousnesses, or consciousness of trees.
I haven't seen you around these parts. What does it matter? You need a blacksmith? Show me your steel. If not, head straight for the door. I'm busy. I'm not here to chit-chat. Forging a weapon strengthens it and alters its character. Ores are transmogrified spirits. Their presence blesses the weapon. Ores are transmogrified spirits.
So, we have another blacksmith, and this is the more advanced smith, even though we don't have a certain critical tool, a key item, to unlock some of the more advanced smithing capabilities that he has in store for us. He also is going to give us another way to make use of our boss souls.
All done.
Just like Frake, and later when we rescue Urbane, just like how they'll transmute those souls into miracles and spells, Ed will fashion them into weapons, provided we get something for him. Now, I want to get a good angle. Notice the scales. This skin condition? Maybe something more? it's similar to what Baldwin has going on, but this is more progressed. I am astonishingly pleased with this photo mode, by the way. The Souls games have always been painstakingly detailed, so this is great. Being able to inspect so closely is just really nice. Okay, so now we're going to come back into this tunnel, and we are going to make a right. These miners, I don't think will try to harm you unless you attack them first. But you do kind of get incentivized to attack them because in their sacks they have many upgrade materials. Ah, shit, forgot about you. There's always one. There's always the one. And with Stonefang tunnels being so claustrophobic and tight and full of these slender corridors, there are so many opportunities for these blind angle ambushes. We still have a decent chunk of this to go. This is about the second half of the level. Or the second... No, we're closer to about the final third of it, maybe. Now, the reason that the try-rolling advice is there is so you can actually get across this. That's actually a very, very useful message. Okay, so we have the water wheel here. We passed by this already. And the next thing that we are going to do is quench all that fire in that channel so that we can cross through to the other side. Just had to make a brief detour down there. Oh, and we don't want to let him get away, but the thing about crystal lizards is they very often try to lure you into ambushes. Like the one in Latria last episode, trying to lure us over into the pit. Half the time, they're bait. Okay. This, we just want to thread the needle. Did we? Oh, no, we did not! Unsuccessful. Unsuccessful attempt. You know, I think 2-1 used to be one of my least favorite levels in the game, but I've really been appreciating it. I think some of that is the remake, but also I'm just noticing new things to like about it that were always there. It's a really, really well laid out level. The only flaw, which we hopefully won't actually get to see demonstrated, is this is not quite the shortcut porn game yet. That started closer to Dark Souls, like the Firelink Shrine elevator that connects you up to the cathedral where you climb up to fight the gargoyles. That's always like the mind-blowing one that gets people slack-jawed and agape about how good Dark Souls' level design is. That's usually the first big one people notice and appreciate. Demon Souls has a lot of good shortcuts and a lot of really good level design, but it was still early. We didn't get as much quality of life on the shortcuts, specifically the ones that help you run back to a boss after you die. There is not a lot of that. Not a lot of consideration to that given in Demon's Souls. In fact, in the very last level that we're gonna see, 1-4, the final level of Boletarian Palace. Oh my god, they're hitting me from underneath the ramp? Okay. Bluepoint had to add an entirely new shortcut to the game because the run back to the boss, which is one of the more tricky bosses in the game, and definitely one of the stronger ones, the run back to him was so obnoxious. Oops. This level has a pretty obnoxious run back too, it's just that most people don't ever see it. And as someone who has shamefully died to this level's boss before, let me tell you, it's an extremely long run. Even with the shortcut that we're going to open up, it's like 2 minutes of sprint. No, the shortcut that we already opened up, I should say. It's like 2 minutes of sprinting even with that, plus a long elevator ride. Like, maybe they never expected anyone to die to this boss, which, that's fair. But some of us have a real knack for this sort of thing. And I'm sorry to say that this is not a skill that can be learned. You just have to be born with this talent. Okay, sir, you need to calm down. You need to stop. You kind of want to treat all of the burrowers in this area with a little bit of suspicion. It's intentionally a little hard to see who is or is not going to attack you at first glance as you pass through here. Great, so that puts the fire out. This is another one of the miners with a big sack of upgrade stones. So, RIP. And now with the fire out, we can just kind of drop down here, and we will be about back where we started, and we can cross over. I just love how this level works. And I think I could have just come this way. Yeah. Whoops. And this is where the grass moment happened in the old LP. There's a room ahead. This is not true. This is the other most common form of troll message, which is just lying. You'll put a note in front of a totally nondescript wall that's not used for anything else. It just says, illusory wall ahead. And that's the whole bit. And then you start to lose the ability to trust those messages that do say, hey, illusory wall ahead, even if they're being sincere. And just beyond, I believe we are coming to the final set of rooms. This one you don't want to just rush into. It's a lot like that ambush in 1-1, with the small room filled with explosive barrels and the Dregling lobs a firebomb at you. Same idea here, but since we have that flame toss, actually the same spell that he's using, we can pop some of those on our own. Oh! That hitbox, though. Intentional, pro gamer move. And we have the official's leggings, so that's what, his gloves and the leggings now? Halfway to that full set. And that full set is going to be used for the completion of a side quest. Where in the original, for that same side quest, you actually only needed one specific piece of the Fat Official's set. Now you need the whole costume. And now, we're starting to notice something new infest the tunnel. Giant spider webs. And a burrower who is not long for this world. God, this place gets really cool. Where? Okay. And then I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is the Kris blade. Hell yeah. I've been fascinated with these since Diablo 2 for some reason. It's an Indonesian weapon that symbolizes the Naga, which is why they tend to be wavy. They're meant to have like a serpentine shape. And now with this, one final, very long elevator ride down, which you have to complete every time you want to run back to this boss if it kills you, which is a big if, but still, you have to ride it all the way back down. First, exactly opposite the boss room, if we come all the way back into this mine shaft, we get a bit of spider stone chunk. Ooh, I like these violins already. This attack I'm way worse at dodging than I should be. So Armor Spider tends to be known as one of the easier bosses in the game. But you know how sometimes, despite how easy something is, it just happens to be, I don't know, hard for you in particular? I wouldn't call this hard. But it feels harder to me than it should be. Than it should. God, this attack looks great in the remake. The Armor Spider evidently has the ability to cough up vast volumes of flammable oil. And I'm getting slam-jammed. The problem is, if I'm far enough back to be hitting him, I sometimes don't see the wind-up. Okay, this should be good. That also tends to mess me up pretty bad. I'm just bad at dodge rolling this boss. And everything that it does is so non-threatening that it doesn't really force you to learn to play it cleanly. You can see we've already seen everything it can do. There are a couple of ways the fight can get a little messy or complicated, like if you don't dodge the web spit it does, it hinders your movement pretty significantly, and makes dealing with follow-up attacks a little bit more challenging. But if you have even a half-decent shield, none of his attacks really can break your guard that easily anyway. Now we just want to make sure that we scour his room for a couple of souls, and I know that there are also spider stone chunks in here. I think, in fact, there might even be a pure spider stone chunk, if I'm remembering right, or a pure spider stone. Oh, that might come a little bit further in. Oh no, it's on the Archstone along with the Demon's Soul. So since we found Blacksmith Ed and Baldwin was kind of talking about the other blacksmith, we're gonna go and talk to Baldwin and see if he has any new dialogue for us.
I can forge weapons for you. Well, Ed's still up to his old ways, is he? Even the demons don't know what to do with him, hmm? Yes, my sides ache. Back in my younger years, I had the strength of an ox. The miners would always ask me to clear out the bear bugs, which I pummeled with my bare hands. But even I couldn't beat them. So, I lobbed them into the lava pits. I'm pretty strong myself, but even I don't compare to Ed. He's a beast, I tell you. The man must eat dragon tails and wrestle stones. If you heed my advice, you'll avoid crossing him. I reckon he'd prove a lot more trouble than most demons. Deep inside Stonefang Mine is an ancient dragon burial ground. The bones of the dragons exude ore. Deep inside Stonefang Mine is an bones of the dragons. No interest, eh? I can tell you're not going to last long here.
All right, thank you all for watching. Take it easy. Have a good one, y'all.